Do, do, do.
Am I shutting this?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're so cute. No, I'm going to shut the door, but it's not because I don't want to talk to you.
Hello and welcome to the Invincible Podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends and I get to sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. Now, this is an episode where we are going to be continuing the new reader series, which is where, I sit down with some friends who have never read Invincible before, and we're going to kind of re-experience it through their eyes as they read it for the first time. So joining me for that, as always, is Liz.
Hello, hello.
And Brittani.
Hello.
And so, before we jump into it, Liz, how have you been?
I'm doing very good.
Yeah?
Yep, busy with life and adulting things.
We were just talking about that. It sucks getting old.
Yes, and actually having to take care of things, but it's good. Everything's good. Moving along.
Mm-hmm,
Ready for the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
No. Please. No.
Britt, were you part of that conversation? I heard some of it. You guys were talking to Katie. Now, are you for listening to Christmas music this early?
No, not until after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving? Oh. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, in little doses, but I feel like I can't. And really, for me, it's not even so much Thanksgiving. It's more snow. I want to see snow. And as soon as I see snow, I can listen to Christmas music. I feel like that's it for me. Because even after Christmas is over, if there's snow on the ground, I want Christmas music.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like there's so much Christmas music out there that I don't get to hear all of it in just that short amount of time. So that's why I like to listen to it longer. So that way I can enjoy it more.
Nope.
Yeah. No. Well, whatever. We'll agree to disagree today.
That's all right. So, as far as Invincible-related news goes, there's not too much other than the fact that we are actually finally getting a new issue that will be coming out shortly after you hear this episode. It's going to be November 16th. That's issue 131. And we're real excited to sit down and talk about that. Our next episode of this podcast will be us talking all about that episode or that issue. So after you read the new issue, write in with your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Be a part of the show with us. And you can write in. Our email address is theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook and all that. So if that's it, did you have something, Liz?
I just want to know. So how close are we? We must be.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
Away,
you guys are at the halfway point.
Okay.
So you're halfway there because there are 11 of the hardcover trades plus almost enough issues to fill a 12th hardcover.
Gotcha.
And you guys just finished 6, so you're halfway there.
We're gonna catch up.
You're gonna catch up.
All right.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I have plans. You guys are gonna be caught up before the end of the series.
And we can all get together.
And we're all gonna get together to talk about it.
So much fun.
Yep, we're gonna have one big episode with all of us. I already have another mic. I've already got a second mic. I'm gonna hopefully get a third, and we're gonna all be able to talk on one episode.
Cool.
It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited for that. But for now, we're gonna be talking about hardcover volume 6. That's what we're on today. Now, for those of you at home, that is issues 60 through 70, and that includes Invincible Returns. If you read the trade paperbacks, that is volume 12 and volume 13. And a fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this, the softcover trade paperbacks, there's about 2 per hardcover. They're always named after TV shows, almost always named after TV shows. And volume 12 was called Still Standing, which...
You know what? I think we talked about that because of Family Matters.
Yes, because there was one of those Family Matters. Yep.
The first thing we talked about.
Yeah.
So the 2 television shows that would make up this volume was Still Standing and Growing Pains.
What's Still Standing?
Still Standing. I had to look it up. It was from 2002. Is it like an NBC show?
Yeah. Oh God, what was his name that was in it? It was a family setting.
Yeah, it was one of those family shows.
I forgot who the father was. It wasn't Tim Allen or...
No, yeah, it was something like that.
God, I can't remember
The
his
normal.
name.
I get the Growing Pains,
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, but we're gonna jump right into it with issue 60. Before we jump into it, a little bit about issue 60. Now, I don't know how much you guys would know about this, but in comic book industry, there's always things like events. They're called events or something. The big two always do this. Like Marvel and DC will have these events that span across their entire line of comics. So like Marvel had Civil War. There'll be Infinite Crisis, and there'll all be this one big event that's affecting all the characters. So if you wanted to read, Secret Invasion or something, a big event that was happening, you'd have to read, to get the whole story, you'd have to read X-Men and Spider-Man and, Fantastic Four to find out what's happening
like
everywhere.
Flash and Arrow, like where they do their team up.
Kind of like that, yeah, where you'd have to, you kind of feel like you're missing out if you don't read the whole thing. And so what Kirkman and, Image and, whoever advertised issue 60 as was a comic book event in one issue. They wanted this to be a big issue, and it was a longer issue. It was an event, which is why you'll see, and, from the cover here and everything, you'll see other Image characters make an appearance. That doesn't mean that they are necessarily in the same universe, and don't think too much of it. It's more for fun. Yeah. It was a neat little thing that they did, and it was they made a big event out of it. So that's where we are at issue 60. And as we talked about last New Reader, Angstrom Levy is back. He has assembled a group of Invincibles from other dimensions, and this issue starts with a flashback. So what did you think of that? We've got it shows us right where Invincible was.
That's like the point where he killed Angstrom Levy.
Yeah, or so we thought.
Yeah.
We get to see him, create a another portal to a dimension where he tells these aliens to fix him.
Yeah, and I feel like this was like my worst fear. I originally thought like maybe he cloned himself or something, so he was going to be able to come back anyway. So, or the technology that he discovered in another dimension would be so far advanced that something like this could happen. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we knew it was coming, and something with Angstrom was coming. But I like these little characters that, took care of him.
Yep, they're called the Technicians. You find out later in the series.
But I like the mix of, the metal, the robotic, futuristic look.
And we don't find out in the beginning here, but later when Angstrom confronts Mark, he tells him that he basically had this other dimension on standby, as in, like, he's smart enough to know that Mark could probably take him in a fight, and if things went south, he had these, this other dimension where the doctors are so advanced that they'd be able to help him. So,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So, this is Angstrom's big plan. His plan is to just sully Invincible's name by having all these Invincibles from various dimensions show up and attack Earth and just destroy everything.
Now, I wonder, did he pay them all off? Did he offer them, their own dimensions to rule?
Yeah, I think that's
something what it was.
I think that's what they say in there. At one point, they say, you promised us. Like, towards the end, when they're confronting Angstrom before he strands them all in that other dimension, he says something along those lines. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, because they're mad at him. They say, not all of us. Oh, wait, where is it? Yeah, because Angstrom says, he wants his clone, or his version of Invincible to go find Mark. And one of the versions says, how about we don't? Your stupid plan weeded us down to 8. You said that if we did this for you in return, you'd help us expand our empires into countless dimensions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he did promise them that.
Because I was just wondering, how he got all of them so easily.
Yep.
And I loved seeing all the different versions. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, that had to have been fun to design.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure it was. I mean, we've seen this before. The black and blue suit.
Some of them are variations.
He looks like Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
Right, even with the mustache.
And then just a regular Weltramite.
But no facial hair.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so different takes on his costumes. This one has a take on Omni-Man's costume. It's the red and blue.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was pretty neat. I bet it was a lot of fun to design all the different Invincibles.
Yeah, so I actually liked seeing that. And I was nervous. I knew once I saw that opening scene of all of them flying, I was like, this is it.
Shit's going down.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. Just because, well, with the build up that you were like, you guys are in it now.
Yep.
Like, this is the one. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's about to happen. So
Yep.
I actually felt very nervous turning each page, like waiting to
waiting
see what happened.
Like, what else was going to pop up? And
Exactly.
I really liked them attacking the prison, and we get a little glimpse of Wolfman. So at the time of this issue, Wolfman was in prison in his series. So this kind of ties in with that series a little bit. And Powerplex, who you recently saw put into prison, escapes, essentially. He gets out, zaps Wolfman, and he says soon invincible, but not today. So you get a little...
He seems super powerful. You know? So I want to see more of him, too. And I like Wolfman. I'm thinking I might actually read that.
Wolfman is cool.
Yeah.
I think, Bill and TJ are going to be doing a episode all about Wolfman.
Oh, cool.
So you should read the first one, and then you can listen to that episode. But yeah, so we see that Cecil has called in all the heroes. He wants everyone. This is huge. This is a major event. And what precedes is just glimpses of fighting. Like throughout the next several pages, you just see various fights in the middle of the fight. Mark and Eve show up to a fight. And then I think the next time you see them, Mark is flying away carrying Eve, saying, just hang on, Eve. We'll be at the hospital in no time. So you don't even see what happens to Eve. It's just assumed that just shit's going down.
Right.
I think I was actually getting myself confused out of all of this, trying to wrap my head around what exactly was going on.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know.
And it's meant to be chaos. It's meant to be a little confusing.
That part I get, but I was just...
But it is kind of hard to follow.
I was really excited, so I think I was reading it a little bit too fast.
Yeah. Well, like you said, too, I really had to take my time to look at panel by panel to be like, is that Mark? Okay, that's a different version. Like, just to make sure that nothing crazy was happening. That's
a good point, yeah.
I was missing, so... But yeah, I liked the chaos. I liked the messiness of it. It read like that. And yeah, as soon as I saw, like you said, Mark carrying Eve, I'm just like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
What happened?
So, and then the page after that, we've got a lot going on. And these are, characters that we're more familiar with. The previous pages have been other Image characters fighting. But here we've got Immortal, his head getting ripped off and thrown through Duplicate. Darkwing taking a Invincible into another dimension. And we find out that Darkwing sacrificed himself. He actually took one of the Invincibles into the dimension where it's all dark and everything, and it's assumed that other Invincible killed him while he was in there, trapping himself there. So Darkwing, who we've known as this character who was a criminal and
a murderer.
Yeah, that was who issue 50 that Mark had that fight with Cecil. It was like Darkwing was the last straw.
Exactly.
And now he, in just this small panel,
selfless.
He dies and it's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's another thing I didn't even catch until rereading it for this episode. At one point, Bulletproof loses a hand. And you see later on, too, that he lost his hand somehow. You don't see the part in which he does. You just see a couple scenes, and then I think it's brought up at one point.
Because they're, rebuilding him or something like that. Yeah.
So it's just pretty crazy. And then we get this scene.
Oh, it's so sad about Rexplode.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is how I feel about comic book universe, that I never believe anything.
Okay.
Immortal. He comes back. You know, you just reattach his head. As long as you have his head, he comes back. So I, never believe things are really happening until it's really happened.
Yeah.
And there's no coming back from it. So even when...
He said,
oh, I'm going to charge my skeleton. I'm like, he's going to explode himself. Is this, again, is this really happening? So I was, again, at this point, I'm starting to, hasten my reading. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then seeing that next panel of, the outline of his skeleton just melting and exploding.
Yep.
I was like, no. I couldn't. And then it shows.
I was just starting to like him.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was redeeming himself.
Yeah. Yep. And that was the point. They talk about that at the funeral, that, he was coming around to be kind of an okay guy now.
Yeah, I honestly still did not believe this was the end of Rex until the funeral scene.
Yep.
Like,
And then robot yelling. And...
Yeah. But I still didn't believe it. I was like, he can fix him. Like, something's good is going to come out of this. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just, I was in shock, honestly, for a while until the funeral scene. I was like, I can't believe that's real.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't want to believe it.
Yeah, and then one of my favorite 2-page spreads of all the Invincibles, the alternate
every
Invincibles.
major city, like,
And destruction.
yep, what a gorgeous 2-page spread,
Right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, just the chaos.
Well, in this whole, in the 2-page, it kind of also makes you realize it's not just one location where Mark lives. This is all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and right before that 2-page spread, like, Mark refuses to help. Cecil comes to him and he's like, we need you. The world needs you. And Mark's like, I don't care, because he's staying by Eve, waiting, and he that just made that 2-page spread.
You can do this without me.
Mm-hmm. Oh. But we get
it's love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we get the Angstrom sending all the Invincibles to that desert universe, or that desert dimension, stranding them there. And
oh yeah, I had actually forgotten about that. That was smart. That was very smart.
And Invincible shows up, and if you notice, see, bulletproof, no hand.
No hand.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, I probably read this a few times, didn't catch that.
All right, good. So I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh, don't. Yeah, like right here too. Interesting.
Yep, it's gone.
But what do you think of this fight between Mark and Angstrom? Like, he's threatening him and threatening him and threatening him, and then he's talking to him, like, he's saying, you did this, you caused the death of thousands, blah 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 blah. And then Oliver's just like, shut up, kill him,
like, just stop wasting your time. And isn't that like the normal thing, that you let villains escape by talking, or the good guys are able to escape as villains are monologuing?
Oh yeah, that whole thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, for me,
and the villain always has to, like, say their master plan on what they're going to do.
Exactly. So I like that voice of reason coming from Oliver. Just like, kill him.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, and Mark's hesitation there, where he just kind of, you could see him thinking about it.
But he knows what he has to do. Like, at this point, he's changed.
Yeah.
Like, we know he's changed.
And that's what a big theme of this whole volume is. And, you know, we're going to touch on that a few times, you know, as we read through this. It's Mark coming to grips on, you know, is it okay to kill, essentially? And when is it okay to kill? And coming off of last issue with issue 50 and Cecil hiring killers and everything like that. But we'll get into more of that in a little bit. But, yeah, Mark agrees to kill him, but he's a little too slow.
Absolutely. Angstrom starts to go to a different dimension, but Mark is able to get his arm off.
Yeah, his arms.
on the way.
He thought a little too hard on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But what I liked then is you don't know what's really going on. What were these guys called?
The
again?
technicians.
The technicians.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, well, we've helped you, but now you work for us.
Yep.
I liked that aspect of
So now it's kind of like,
side.
It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
what are they going to use them for?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm excited for that, too.
Yeah.
I love this page of destruction, because it is kind of showing places that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got the Pentagon, the Burger Mart, the Reginald Vo Johnson High School. We get to see the prison, and then the Teen Team Tower. Yeah, I think that's his house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was surprised that it reached his house. Like, that's
Everywhere. Like, that just shows the
everywhere.
destruction.
Exactly. Like, originally I was like, oh, maybe it's just a random house, like, close to the city. But the fact that it was his house, that one kind of was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. And just an awesome final page, similar to, and like the issue starts with the flashback of Mark saying, like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And that's how that one issue ended, with the fight with Angstrom, and leaving him there, him saying, oh God, oh God, oh God. And this episode or issue ends with just him saying, my God, like, looking at the destruction.
Right.
So pretty crazy for a single issue to have that much going on. And that's why it was a big deal. This was called the Invincible War, this issue, and it was a lot.
Right. Like, I honestly, when I got to this page, and same thing, like, at this point, I was able to, like, relax, like, my breathing, but, like, how he said, my God, like, exasperated, like, that's how I felt. Like, I physically felt, like, so stressed while reading, and then looking at that, just, like, that letdown, I was like, oh my gosh, like...
Because Angstrom's gone. Those other Invincibles are in that other dimension.
Rex is dead.
So Rex is dead. So it's kind of like the threat is over, but there's just so much destruction.
Right. So what's coming now? And that's like, you know, I look at this and just be like, oh, what about the oncoming threat from the... I can never say them right.
Viltrumites.
Viltrumites. I always say Viltrumites. Viltrumites. Like, it's coming.
Yeah, so for a volume to start off with this big of a thing, it's like, oh.
Right.
So we've got, next up is issue 61, and I love the start of it with the news reporter kind of talking and giving the death toll and everything. They said it was in the millions. Into the millions.
Mm. Well, if they attack main cities, that makes sense. Like, absolutely.
That's huge. Yeah.
Millions of people.
Mm-hmm. The news report is suspicious of Invincible, talking about how he was the one that was seen, and that, you know, they talk about saying like, oh, remember it was Omni-Man, you know, so is there ties to him? And they talk to Savage Dragon, and he's like, no, he's a good guy. I can't believe you're reporting on this crap. And then Cecil comes to him when, you know, he's sitting by Eve's bedside, and they agree, you know, that she's stable, she's going to be fine, but Cecil's like, you're needed, and you know, they agree that it's temporary. Right. So they kind of
do what you got to do for the betterment after seeing all that damage. Like, he knows he has to help. And now I feel like he's feeling like, wow, this is my fault. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This happened because of me, so he's got to do something.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
He's still a stand-up guy.
Yeah. Mark feels a lot of guilt, you know, throughout this volume, and it's... all this kind of stuff starts weighing on him. And again, that kind of comes back to what we talked about last New Reader, where it's kind of that black suit mentality in Spider-Man. Like, all this going on with do I or do I not kill? When is it right to kill, or could it be right to kill? And all this guilt that he's feeling.
Well, with everything that went on in the last issue, I'd feel the same way.
Right? So we've got, and then right away we get to see Powerplex back.
Yeah, he comes and attacks them when they're in, like, cleaning up, right?
Yeah. Trying to get the bodies out.
And this is, I mean, Powerplex, his whole stance was revenge for, you know, killing his sister in a city.
Your actions cause death.
Yes, and so flat out, again, this is just, you know, another, you know.
Fight.
Yeah, just another reason for Mark to be like, I get it, all right? So, you know.
It's so hard, because this is where I started struggling, because I get Powerplex's story, you know, like, where that feeling comes from. And, you know, of course we're all Team Mark, let's be honest. It's Invincible. That's what this comic is about. But it's kind of like, you start to think, is this bad? Should he stop doing what he's doing because of all of the death and issues that it's causing? So then I thought back to that story arc of where he left Immortal in charge. Like, did he leave?
Oh, yeah.
Because he was done with the fighting, the killing, and just wanted to have a normal life. Oh, yeah. You know, so that's like, I was kind of thinking about that a little bit as this Powerplex story was unfolding. Mm-hmm.
So, but then again, obviously, Powerplex attacking, surrounded by other superheroes, he gets put down pretty easily and taken away.
Yeah, just don't move. Don't give him power.
Then we get, that whole scene with Mark talking to Eve while she's sitting still unconscious. And
this is where we really get to see what a freaking asshole her father is.
The first time we get to see it, yep. Oh. And she's talked about him before. Like, she's kind of underhandedly mentioned, like, oh, my father,
So, like her parents. Like, she doesn't like you don't like my parents. Yeah. Like, her mom, at least, tried-ish, but her dad, I
Oh,
was like,
yeah. Oh,
Especially
yeah.
further on in this.
Yeah, later.
yes, I know. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what a dick.
We get a page of, hey,
It just
don't forget the
keeps coming.
sequins.
It
Right?
just
I know.
keeps coming.
When I turned this page, I was like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's all happening. Like
Yep.
it's all going on."
Oh, it's like, hey, as if you forgot, there's also this.
But not only that, like right after that, you have Immortal, and he's like, "Well, I'm done because I'm gonna start a family," and you're like, "Another one bites the dust."
Right.
Like,
Yay!
all
I
hands
was
on
like,
deck,
yay.
and you want to start a family.
Then we get Mark sitting down at a little meeting with Cecil and Britt and Robot and everybody, and I love it. It's just it's rough. Mark mentions, he's like, "Well, what about Rex?" And Robot says Rex is dead. And then there's just this small panel of Mark just looking down like, shit. That's how he found out.
Right.
There's so much going on, and it's just, and Cecil's like, we don't have time for that. Like,
Right. No, like
I feel like that's how my brain worked though with all of that because it was so chaotic and I
that
was
even
reading,
you,
like,
yeah.
I just kept going until I couldn't read anymore because
So it's almost like
I
you
was like,
had this.
I forgot too.
Yeah, you had the same reaction Mark did. It's like, oh, yeah. Like, oh. And it does, like you were saying earlier,
just
Liz,
gives
it
you a
doesn't sink
reminder.
in.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, when I actually remember when he said Rex is dead. I'm like, no,
You still didn't want to believe it.
no, it's not true. Just wait, something else is gonna happen. But then I like the little comic relief of Britt. Kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like, oh, thanks for picking me second.
Yeah. He
Calling
calls,
out Mark for being a kid.
yeah, he calls him, what is he, a moody little cuss.
Yeah.
Such an old man.
And then it made me think of, what was that movie, the Fox one, where cuss, where they always like say swear words instead of swearing, they say cuss.
What Fox one?
Mr. Fox?
Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox, yeah.
Beautiful shots of Mark cleaning up in the rubble and just him just having a hard time dealing with it, obviously.
Finding a body.
Yep, finding another body. And then we get somebody behind him that says, "Stand ready for my arrival, worm."
Oh my god.
All right. So, as if
I wanted to cry. Like, I'm not joking. Like, just all these things that Mark has gone through, like, in 24 hours, honestly. Like, think about that. Are you kidding me? And then you get this big freaking guy, like, just ready to demolish him.
Now, did you...
For me at this point, when he came along and just how angry he's been, I was like, he's gonna just fucking leave. He just,
Oh, you thought Mark would just be like, fuck this.
he's just gonna go. Leave everything behind.
So did you both know, like, did you both make the connection that this was the guy that they said was coming? Like Anissa, that other Viltrumite, the
Yeah.
woman who said, hey, somebody's coming then. And we
Yeah.
were like, oh, is it going to be 5 years, 50 years? We didn't know when it was going to be.
Yeah, well,
So-
I thought it was going to be soon, just because after finding out how little of this race is left, I knew that they were going to try to come quickly, and especially after Nolan said Earth was like the most compatible with
Yep.
their DNA.
Yep.
I'm like,
This
it's
is
on.
important.
Yeah, exactly.
This
So
is
I knew it had to be coming quickly. So yeah, I definitely connected that too.
I'm going to read this part just because I love this. Mark says to Conquest, maybe you don't understand. I have caused all the destruction you see around you. The lives lost are a direct result of my actions. I can't describe the guilt, shame, and most importantly, anger that I feel right now. All I have thought about, the only thing I've wanted since all of this happened, was something to hit as hard as I can.
That was awesome.
I know. Yeah, goosebump moment.
Right? And then just the shot of them charging at each other.
Yeah, like this was
I love
a
that page.
15 to 30 second exchange between them. Like gauntlets are thrown.
Yeah.
And that's just, it sums it up perfectly. This is, like we've been saying, he just went through hell, and it's like somebody shows up and says, hey, surrender Earth or die. And you're like, all right, you know what? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Ding ding.
Yeah.
like that's the other option. Like Britt, you're saying, oh, he'll just leave Earth. And it's like the other option is like, you know what?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And they do. So
Yeah.
issue 62.
So when Invincible came out, when you were reading it, were you reading it like
issue
to issue?
Yes.
Because like at this point,
This sucked.
like I still have not yet put it down.
This sucked.
And I couldn't imagine waiting.
Month to month.
Yeah.
So everything you've just read.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking
Would
between
have
month
been-
to month. That's terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh no. This
is the way
this
to
isn't like a
go.
TV show. This is like
Yeah.
the beginning of this issue. This or compendium or volume or whatever from issue 60 to issue 65 or whatever. That's 5-6 months. If there were delays, then it could have been longer.
Hell.
That's half a year just to find out how
I'm
this
so
fight's going.
anxious.
Think about some of these cliffhangers coming up.
Now I can see why
ugh.
all you guys were like freaking out. Like, oh my god, did you read that comic book or
Yeah.
whatever? What is it called? An issue? Did you read that issue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys would always like call each other and be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And now you have to wait.
Now you get it.
I get. To
And you
turn
guys
the
get it
page.
all at once.
You get to turn a page.
Yes.
So we've got a huge explosion, huge fight scene, and just the way Conquest talks. Like he talks about how Anissa would be telling you right now how we'd make this place a utopia, and he's like, I'll say no such thing. I'm here because I enjoy this.
I love him.
He's insane. He
yes,
is
exactly.
Badass.
And isn't he like the one you send to get shit
the
done?
best, right? Yep. And it's so great that he's just like this old dog who just doesn't care. I mean, he's got blood all over him, and just some of the and FCO, the colorist in this.
I was gonna say, is the coloring change in this one? That's what it looked like. To
It's
me.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. The colors on this. This is some of the. In fact, I've got an email for you guys.
Ooh.
This is from a friend of the show, Mike Barrett. He says, Liz and Brittani, on behalf of the Invincible Podcast listeners everywhere, I would like to officially introduce you to Ryan Ottley. Hold for applause. I feel that it was this volume, and particularly the Conquest fight, that many of us loyal Invincible fans started our bromance with the wickedly violent art style of the one Ryan Ottley. I'm sure you've heard of Ottley's awesomeness for years, and some of you have even met him in person recently. But my question is, now that you've experienced the cream of the crop in regards to Ryan's art up to this point in the story, does it live up to the hype? Love, Mike Barrett. So, like, you've heard us talk about, like, Ryan Ottley, like, and when you first started reading Invincible and over the last few volumes and everything, do you feel like you're really starting to kind of appreciate the art more? Do you think that it's really starting to come off the page a little bit differently?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
I've seen such a progression.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as an artist, you develop a relationship with who and what you're drawing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I feel like
Ooh, that was deep.
once you get to know them, you start to draw them, with more detail, or, you have the same thoughts that they're thinking. So I really feel like it has come off the page more. And I was going to say the saturation of these colors are beautiful, and particularly the fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to see the blood, I like to see the gore, like, show it all to me.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited. I was like, oh yeah. So
We've got
really,
bones sticking out. We've got it all.
yeah, so I felt like I actually could see the detail of his drawings better with this coloring.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
This is some of the best Invincible has ever looked. It's amazing. What was I going to say?
And sidebar, Ottley was so cool.
Yeah. So, continuing with this fight, Mark is just getting his ass kicked throughout this entire issue, and the reaction on Conquest is just, he's enjoying it, he's laughing, he wants more, and oh yeah.
Exactly. He's just, through the whole fight, he's just like, is that all you got, kid? Like.
And that was
joke.
that's what I was gonna say is when reading this and kind of talking about the art, especially during these issues, it's kind of hard to take it in because you're taking in such amazing story at the same time too, and the fight scenes and everything like that you almost feel bad for reading it quickly. So I always had to go back and read it a second or third time to kind of be like really take it in.
I totally agree with that, because I feel like like you said, Britt, I just kept like, oh, I gotta get to the next page.
Yeah.
Gotta get to the next page. So,
I'm guilty.
And we've got Oliver running off to help.
oh yeah, once they see it on the news.
Yeah.
Which this page right here, if you look behind you on the wall,
Hey,
finally got to the page I own.
yeah,
Yay.
that's awesome.
And so Oliver shows up and Mark's, oops,
Sorry, man.
sorry. So Oliver is trying to catch up to them and they're too fast, and Conquest is just smiling and enjoying it as he goes. Mark even tries to stop and like talk to him.
The desperation in his eyes, like, or his eye, because we can only see one, right there, he's like, please just stop, because he doesn't want Oliver to get hurt, you know, like, and I feel like that's one of the only things he has right now is Oliver. Eve's still in the hospital, all this, chaos and destruction just happened.
I was torn at this part. Because I was like, but you really need his help?
Yeah, I know. Let him do
yeah.
his thing. He's
Dude's
probably
gonna
super
kill
powerful.
him. So
And even what Conquest says after Mark literally throws him away, Conquest says, the time I spent killing him might have given you a chance to outsmart me or something. Like, he even says, you could have even bested me if you would have just let me kill him for a second, turned my back on you. And he's
Right.
like, show me your power, show me your rage.
I know. It's so epic, this part. I really do like Conquest.
I love it.
Oh, I loved this. The headbutt.
Yeah, after Conquest yells at him saying, show me your rage, he headbutts him and then is just beating the shit out of Conquest, and then Conquest just like catches one of his punches and he's like, child. If that's all you have, this is not going to end well for you.
Right? Like, and I thought, like, after this little
You thought this was his
scene,
comeback?
I thought, yeah, this was like a beginning of a comeback. He gets a couple good shots in. I see some blood on Conquest. And then he just says, child. I'm like, oh my God, there's more.
It's like, crap.
Yeah.
So this issue ends with Cecil freaking out, obviously. He's like, seriously? And he runs to D.A. Sinclair, and you see what he's working on.
I see that he's working on Reanimen, but they're
all the
Invincible. And I'm like, that's so smart.
Right?
That's so smart. But Mark is gonna freak out.
Right? Yep. and we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, the Invincible Reanimen are not ready. So Cecil's like, God help us all. So, and then you have to wait a month to read the next issue. So issue 63. This is probably the most disgusting. There might be one that's pretty close to this one, but you haven't seen it yet. This might be the most disgusting
you can't do
cover.
that.
Sorry about that. This might be one of the most disgusting covers.
I loved it.
Yeah.
As soon as I turned and saw this cover, I was like, yes.
Ugh.
I saw the broken bone out of his arm. Well, a couple of them. His fingers were crooked, just
Ugh.
dripping in blood.
Just
Oh my
completely
gosh.
fucked up.
Yup. I was like, game on.
Yep. And then Eve wakes up and sees that it's funny because the news report is saying that Mark is fighting his dad, or Invincible is fighting his dad. And so Eve's freaking out like, Omni-Man, what? And she's like, I gotta go, I gotta help him. And so she tries to get in touch with Cecil, I believe. So, but cut back to Mark getting the shit kicked out of him.
Oh my gosh.
It's rough. Oliver shows up again.
I was gonna say, where's Oliver?
Yeah, he had to catch back up. He's slower.
He's so cute. Just wait. Something epic is coming for him.
But Conquest, let's see, what is he? Doesn't he? Yeah, he breaks his jaw, then breaks his arm, and then proceeds to hold him above his head, and
He's
going to
old
rip him in
school
half.
The Rack, like Braveheart. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Mark flying in, screaming. Like, I could just see this scene in a movie, him screaming, "No, no, no!"
Yeah, trying to get to him in time before he rips him in half.
Exactly. And I hoped that this was again a part where Mark would all of a sudden get this
The rage.
yeah, the rage
Yeah.
or flare of powers to have the strength to damage Conquest. Finish him, exactly. But then it still didn't happen. And I was just like, how much more can I handle? Poor Mark. I'm worried about me. But
And you see Cecil shows up, checks on Oliver. Oliver's going to be fine. But we get to see...
I would say, I really like this scene. It shows a panel of everyone basically in Mark's life when this fight is going on.
Yeah, we've got his mom and her boyfriend, Rick Sheridan and William.
Amber.
Oh, Amber.
Fucking Amber.
And then Art.
I like how we don't even talk about her boyfriend because he's such a dick.
Oh,
He punched her.
I know.
that's true. Yeah.
And that, and then Eve finally gets to talk to Cecil. And she basically wants to go and help.
Yeah, and they're going to try and teleport her in, but they're moving across the world so
fast.
quickly.
Oh my god, I'm getting anxious because I know what's coming up and I know what we're going to talk about.
It's coming.
Yeah. Let's just go there.
Let's just go.
We're there. Turn the page.
I know.
So Mark gets his ass kicked, and then Conquest slams into a pink wall. Very, epic entrance.
And even the words are pink. I loved it. I was like, she's here, bitch.
Yeah.
And then Mark, just please, no.
I
no,
know.
not you. Don't be here. No.
And I liked how, her legs were still in braces.
Yeah, she looks awesome here. Look how awesome and badass she looks.
Yeah, and that's just no one's gonna hurt my man. Not broken, but I got this. But she was even surprised. You're not Omni-Man.
Yeah, because up to this point, she thought...
Exactly, she still thought it was Nolan.
Yeah, she has no idea what's about to happen.
And his response, bad news for you. Because he's so much worse. So
Yep.
I'm just oh.
Yeah.
Fucked with the wrong guy.
Exactly.
Mark tries to get her out of there by stopping Conquest. Conquest just...
snaps his leg.
Yeah, just right at the knee, just breaks it, bends it the wrong way.
Uh-huh. And then I like how she tries to put him in a force field.
I never even noticed that he broke his leg.
Oh, really?
I understood, later on you see him in the cast, but, I again, flipping through,
'Cause it's
what the fuck's happening next?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, see, like I said, I like the blood and the gore, so I was like, oh, look at that bone! A shard is, shooting out! I was super excited about
I
it.
didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then it, sticking out. It's great.
yep.
But yeah, then Eve's got him in, this pink force field, and he just, claps it.
Yeah, I love that. Just
The clap, yeah.
just I'm gonna crush this. You have
At
no
that
power
point, I
over
was
me.
like, oh, Eve.
and you didn't have long, because the next page...
Oh my gosh.
Oh
okay.
my God.
So after
So tell me what happened.
Yeah, you do it. Because I'm gonna...
So after that, he just fucking annihilates Eve. Hand through the body.
How did you react? I gotta know.
I want to know.
Oh
I want to
my
know both
God.
your reactions.
I thought she was done. She's done. Mark's gonna just. I was convinced he was just gonna be fuck you. He was gonna destroy this Conquest guy. Because he's fucking with his love.
Yeah. For me, when I turned the page, I just went, and had another no
Yeah.
moment. The same thing with Rex. and I'm
They got together and are happy.
Yeah, and actually, I was sitting on the love seat, and Billy was sitting on the couch when I had gotten to this point, and I was just like, he's like, what? I'm like, Eve, through her whole stomach, and he was just like, oh,
Yeah.
and I was just like, no. I just told him, it can't be. It can't be.
But
it can't
even
be.
after Conquest did that next panel of his smile, that
Yeah.
sinister
and him
smile.
saying so pretty. And all right, so the layouts, the entire everything about this issue, the way the blood is splattered across the panels, this last, on the right hand side of this page where, after he puts his hand through Eve, it looks like it's glowing behind Mark and Eve after he catches her, because it's it's just him and her right now.
Right.
It doesn't, everything else is fading away
And exactly, I was going to say, I loved that it was the white behind them because it made you feel, like you said, silent.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like that feeling was there, and just hit his words, like, I can't do this without you. I can't live without you.
Oh, I feel
like,
so
my
sad,
heart.
even just thinking about all that.
Exactly. My heart hurt. I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like devastated. I didn't even want to turn the page at this point.
Yeah.
Just because I knew so much more was still going to happen.
He's still there. This is still like
Exactly.
you don't want. It's like you don't want to see like the last thing that Mark says to her. Like you don't want it to happen.
Right.
Oh.
And I feel like I might have even stopped at this point and like walked away.
Did you?
I feel like I did
Yeah.
because I just couldn't
is-
handle it.
This is very and you know, spoilers for Walking Dead early on in the comic series, but whatever. This is very a Governor moment with the hand. Like this is almost one of those like you get introduced to this incredible villain who does something unbelievable, and you almost have to like stop for a minute and just.
Yeah, well, I was even going to compare this compendium to, like, Game of Thrones, because they were like,
Yeah.
I don't even care if you're a main character, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
2 main characters within, you know,
Yeah.
15 minutes of reading. I was like, that's it, I'm done.
Oh.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then everything goes dark. Everything's darker again.
Yeah, after we turn the page and just see...
There's no pink.
Yeah, there's no pink. And Mark is just crying over her limp body.
And just saying, keep breathing, Eve, don't die, keep going. And then just Conquest is just like, not long. If you've got anything to say it now.
Yeah, but then there's a shot of his mouth again.
Yeah. He's just disgusting.
He's
He's
freaking disgusting. Delicious. Let's kill her.
So they this is your first time you get to see a headshot, you know, a
I thought that was
two splash
real
page.
cool.
Yeah, isn't that great? He, you know, Conquest goes on this monologue where he basically thanks Invincible. And he says, it's from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's not often they get to let me let loose like this. Normally they say, don't kill this person, don't destroy that. But here they said, do whatever you want. And he got to let loose. And he said, thank you, this has been fun.
Like, what do you even do with that? Like,
Well, Mark's response is great.
well, I loved that Kirkman wrote this. You know, just that thought process of thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like,
Like he manages to take villains like up a notch to the next level and just make them like, how do you even think of a villain like this?
oh, it was great. It was great.
So
And I love the coloring in the artwork on this next
this
page.
close up on Mark's face
Yeah.
in the final page.
Doesn't even look like him anymore.
That's him on the front cover of this issue, just completely just broken.
Yeah, and then he just basically tells Conquest, I don't care how strong you are, I don't care how fast you are, I can see the future, you don't live to see tomorrow. So
That
he's
was
done.
epic.
Right?
Yeah.
At that point I was just like, oh shit. Like I already thought
So you've been waiting
the
for
fight
this.
had
Yeah.
happened, but now it's really
It
gonna
has just
happen.
begun.
Like you've been waiting. You've been saying, okay, maybe this is the rage. Is this the rage? Is this the rage? Well,
It's
Yep,
here.
it's here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
and then we get one of my favorite covers. This is, I don't know if you remember, issue 11 of Invincible is the same cover, but it's Nolan's hand reaching down, all bloody. And that's the issue we find out where he comes clean to Mark and their fight begins. So it's
I
kind of that
forgot-
reminiscent
I had
of that.
forgotten about
Oh, no,
that,
yeah.
yeah.
I just love that juxtaposition or whatever you'd call it of, you know,
Yeah.
the two. So
Bringing it back together, connecting it.
these major moments in his life. So Mark's back at it. He flies up at Conquest, and another amazing 2-page spread is just Mark punching through Conquest's robotic arm, and you just see
And
the
his
fingers
arm.
curl in.
Like, look, and then you can see Mark's arm, because, like, I remember that cover, like, how his arm was broken in 2 places. So I really, in looking at this picture, you can see Mark's arm, there we go. Mark's bone and his arm snap up as well while he's crushing
Yep.
the other arm.
And then the next 2 pages after that is exactly what we've been wanting, what readers have been wanting. They
Just
want,
read.
they don't. And the thing is, and this whole time is Conquest has been talking. He's been talking and saying things and laughing and making all these comments. And these next few pages, notice how often does Conquest finish a sentence?
Yeah. He cuts him off.
He cuts him off every time. Mark's not letting up. He won't, like...
I don't want to hear you anymore.
Yep.
I am going to shut you up.
Yeah, Conquest pins Mark's arms at his side and saying, "You don't stand up," and then doesn't even finish it because Mark bites his shoulder off,
Chomps down.
So gross.
spits out a piece of it, and this is the point. This page where after he bites it off and he's flying back at him, Conquest says, "Damn." Like,
I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
so, for you guys, Eve wasn't dead very long. So we've got this moment of her.
Well, actually, even at this point, I still didn't think she was alive.
Was this just like something happening, like a last energy burst or something?
Right, because she's able to manipulate atoms and things like that. So I thought this was a way of her body going back into the universe.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah. Even though I was still like, it's not true.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was, kind of happening to her body.
No, I thought she was totally coming back. Not only that, I had a Little Mermaid moment.
Look at the hair. Yes.
Oh.
When she, yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Sing it.
Yep. When she gets her legs. That's what it
Yes.
was.
That's really funny. You're right. That does look a lot like Little
It's like
Mermaid.
exactly like it.
That's great.
Except this is pink. In her case, it was yellow. Anyway.
And so Mark stops for a second, looks at Eve. Conquest says, "Pay attention," and then Eve blasts Conquest, frying him from the neck down.
Well, yeah, it's like she screams Mark, and I didn't
So
know.
So at this point, are you like, wait a minute, is she?
Well, this part I knew, like, okay, well, she's obviously alive now.
Alive, yeah.
But I didn't know if she was filled with so much power that she couldn't control it.
So this is almost like a Phoenix thing.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, for her screaming Mark like that, I was nervous that she was just like, I don't know what's happening to me. Get out of the way. Or if it was, she wanted to protect him. But
Yeah.
I took it more as a Phoenix moment. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I like that. I never really put the two and two together. It's very Jean Grey of her. They got the glowing eyes, the red hair, and having this moment. See, it's Little Mermaid and Jean Grey. It's
Perfect
Adam Eve.
matchup.
I have no idea what that is.
Jean Grey.
X-Men.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Phoenix.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, her eyes even in the next page.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So,
But just seeing his body like fried like that, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
and then
You're
still,
so badass, Eve.
and then still.
And her naked body.
Oh damn!
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it made me blush. No.
Mark keeps beating on Conquest. Says he's still got enough fight in me for you, and just stops Mark's punch, and then just breaks his wrist or hand, fingers, just smashes it. See, more than enough.
And then another crushing. What is that? A
Headbutt.
headbutt.
Yeah, just
It seems to be like his go-to move when he's in trouble. I love it.
and Mark just saying, "Is this still fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Having fun?" Because both his hands are fucked up at this point. He's got nothing left.
He's got nothing
except
but
his head.
face.
Yep. So he just.
And this was a direct reflection of that Angstrom fight for me. Where he
smashing someone's head.
Smashing somebody to bits because you just lost it. You can't control yourself anymore. And Conquest still has a sarcasm about him. Oh, I'll take the good with the bad.
I liked this page.
The bad. I would say this page, of
I liked
course.
all the stuff behind it.
Yeah, the 2-page with all the headbutting going on behind it, just to show that he just is not stopping. He just keeps headbutting him over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Like, I was at a loss at this page. I think I stared at it for a couple of minutes. Just like,
I definitely did.
yeah,
Yeah.
taking it in. Just like, holy shit. Yeah. And again, this is what we wanted. We wanted Conquest to be freaking destroyed.
Yep.
Oh, God.
And he's destroyed.
And then he's pretty destroyed.
So we get these 2 pages just look wet. It looks like he spilled something on the book. It's just dripping. There's more red than anything. It's just disgusting. Mark's dripping.
He can barely move. I mean, and just the Conquest face and like the teeth everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I really like those details. I thought that was awesome.
That was a sigh of relief moment. Like, the fight's over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then I liked, his main drive is still him like crawling across the rubble to get to Eve to make sure, because he still doesn't know if she's really okay.
Yeah.
And then we just see the ellipsis. And then we see Brown Chicka Ronco just hanging out there.
But I loved it. I love the moment of them just kind of staring at each other. Mark's kind of like passing out. He's just covered in blood, and she's pristine. Like, she's, brand new, and he's just the exact opposite. He's just disgusting and broken. And just them looking at each other, and they're like, love you too.
Am I?
Yep. And
yes, you are, girlfriend.
Just a little humor in there.
Oh yeah, just to kind of like a nice little cherry on top of our Conquest fight.
Yeah.
And it's all the superheroes coming out of the portal ready to help. Finally come help Mark, and Eve's just laying there naked. And the best part of that scene,
I didn't even notice that. I swear. Monster Girl covering Robot's face.
Yep.
That's adorable.
Isn't it?
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's cute.
But that was funny.
So.
And look at how many bodies there are behind there. I didn't realize how many people were really.
Oh yeah, it just kept going. You're right.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up to help. A little too late. So that was the Conquest fight.
So let's just like take a breather.
Yeah, I feel like we need to
whew.
take a second.
Right?
Take a shot of something.
Oh.
My gosh, just that. I mean, we are almost halfway, but that I feel like takes up the majority of what we're going to be talking about, because that is, I mean, the Conquest fight is, if you talk to any Invincible fan, within a couple minutes that comes up. That is a huge moment. Everybody that listens to the podcast and has been really excited for you guys to read that.
Yeah.
And you can see why.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It's pretty intense, and it's epic.
Like, I still think about it, like, anytime I think about the Invincible universe, it is. Mm-hmm. It's something that I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows you how much power Mark can possibly have as well.
Liz, can you do me a favor and grab the Ultimate Collection Volume 1?
Numero uno?
Yes, please. I want to show you guys something. Thank you. So first off, I wanted to show you, remember how Omni-Man kills all the Guardians? The cover to issue 8.
Hey, that guy came back.
Ryan Ottley's first issue. The cover to 65.
Look at the difference.
It's the same tree. It's the same layout, kind of. You got that tombstone right there. This hill with all the tombstones on it.
So much more detail, though.
And look at that art change. Like that, I mean, his progression is amazing. And then, I guess, while I have this, I'll show you the cover to issue 11, which matches the one in his hand.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right, let's do this. We'll get through the rest of this quicker. We'll try to. So, issue 65, Mark waking up in the hospital, remembers everything, and Eve kind of explained to him how she survived.
And how perfect she is.
Doesn't she make her boobs bigger or
yes.
something?
Yeah.
Mark said, did you, and she's like, yeah, I might have made some improvements.
I know. Yes.
And he's like, don't make me laugh. It hurts.
That's the best part. I'll be gentle.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it.
Yep. So we've got D.A. Sinclair's still working on the Reaniman. Cecil saying, finish him pronto. Come on. He doesn't know when the next kind of attack is going to happen.
Okay,
He wants
but if
these.
he rushes, I feel like that's going to be a really bad news because they've never done it on a superhero.
Yeah, it's only been on like cadavers and, you know.
Right. So who knows? They could end up thinking for themselves or having too much power they can't control.
But then again, maybe that's why it's taking so long. And doesn't he say like their skin is really hard to cut through?
Cement or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't trust anything, you know me. I'm a skeptic through and through.
Mm-hmm. Then we got Debbie showing up to see Mark.
Yeah, they visit. And...
She hasn't been around in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she feels guilty that she's encouraged Mark to be in this profession. You know, she doesn't. She
knew
she's just
when she married her.
Yeah, she's just upset right now. So we get a scene of her getting a little upset about that. What?
Nothing. I just turned to the next page and saw where we're going.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Mark wants to see the body.
Yeah, Mark needs to see the body.
To make sure he's dead.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't blame him.
Yeah, exactly. So he sees the body, he's satisfied.
Mm-hmm. But we know the truth in that.
It's Cecil.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the fucking man. Just don't like him.
Some old man.
Come on, it's terrible.
So then they go to Rex's funeral, which it's like, oh yeah, remember, Rex is dead. It kind of comes back to.
And like I said, and this was the moment where I was like, I had to accept it. Like,
that he's actually gone.
Yes, and
I loved Robot giving his speech. I loved how he couldn't be in the suit because he would choke up and he couldn't talk, and he could speak more clearly through Robot. And he decides to take his name Rex instead of being called Rudy. So from now on,
which finally made sense to me because in the alternate
yes,
universe,
you remember that
Rex.
Yeah, so
and I'm like, why do they call Robot Rex? Yeah.
I don't think of these things.
Isn't that crazy? So grown up Rex was actually Robot.
But
yeah, yeah, exactly. It was awesome.
And so I couldn't say that back when you read that.
Yeah, but I remember thinking like,
why is Rex in
Robot? Like I couldn't.
Wow, I forgot all about that.
Crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Monster Girl says, "I love you." I love this. Monster Girl says, "I love you."
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they're pretty official.
Yeah, and then like. Of course, Eve taking the podium and talking about him.
Oh, yeah. And not
how
being able to.
candid she was, though. Just like, he was my first everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And she, like, goes and talks to Mark about it, and she's blunt about it. She's like, I hated him because he cheated on me, but he was my first everything. We loved each other. Is it wrong to say that I loved him?
Right.
And that she talks about how he started to become a nicer, better man after everything and over the last few months and everything. And yeah.
I know. And then I just loved Mark's response because he was just smiling the whole time. She's talking about all this stuff and like talking about Rex, but he's just so happy that she's alive.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cute moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows like what really matters
in
life is having each other, not your past. And you know, so I really liked that whole scene. And
so R.I.P. Rex.
Yeah. Sorry, TJ.
Oh, yeah. I love the next scene where it shows, you know, of course, Mark and Eve celebrating life together. But I love the clothes just melting off, like right there.
So that's that was supposed to show that something's off with her powers.
Right.
Yeah.
So something's not working right.
Yeah, because the clothes kind of like...
They like kind of melt and turn into a flower, and something's weird about it. And
well, even she's like glowing. Like if you look at her
that
hair,
I think that's showing that her clothes are coming off.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I took it as glowing for another reason.
Let's get it on.
So we've got the scene with the technicians telling...
It is literally happy, sad, happy, sad,
right?
happy, sad. Like, my emotions are just fucked right now.
I know. It's like, here comes reality right back.
Yeah.
Growing pains.
Yes.
Okay.
Love
Makes
it.
sense.
So we've got the technicians telling Angstrom that they want to conquer other worlds. They want to move on from this world and go to other worlds. So that's what they want from him.
Which, I mean... That's what everyone wants to do.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's just a nice little check-in, hey, this is where they're at.
Yeah, but I'm sure Angstrom is going to convince them to take over Earth or something for his own means.
I like the different text. I know we've seen it previously.
Oh yeah, just to show.
I totally read that in my mind that way.
Yeah,
as well.
Like choppy, one monotone kind of sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. We got another shot of Russ Livingston at the Sequid saying, "Not long now." So
and
it's
now they have more people. Yeah,
they're growing. And here you go. Go for it.
Fucking pissed. And I honestly,
She's talking about Cecil.
see Cecil, and he's looking at freaking, what's his name now? Conquest head, and I honestly, slammed the book shut, and I yelled. The kids weren't home, but I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was so pissed off, and just to find out that they kept him alive, and they showed Invincible like a rubber body or it was a fake cadaver, and I felt so betrayed, and I never liked Cecil, and now I really hate him because you just know bad things are gonna happen. Why would you do that? Why are you so stupid?
I wasn't shocked though.
Yeah, it's at this point, it's
he's gonna fucking do.
I mean, his intentions again. Not saying he was right, but his intentions are. I'm sorry.
Did he want to make him a reanimator?
No, he wanted to get information.
Okay.
He needed to know if another attack like this was coming. Like
he's gonna give it to him.
Exactly.
Are you kidding?
Exactly. I know it. So.
Fucking
trying to play God.
Yeah.
And this issue ends with Mark and Oliver having a talk, and Mark kind of flat out says it. He won't hesitate to kill anyone that tries something like this again. So,
I know.
Again, getting back to that theme of Mark trying to come to terms with.
Sometimes you have to kill someone for the greater good, right? That's or to defend your family.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like that's the very human side, but he doesn't see it as human. He sees it as a weakness from his father's side.
Yeah.
Because of how brutal he is. So, I don't know. I like it. I like the character development.
Yep.
This is, I think, the point where I stopped. I was like,
okay.
Yep. Need to recoup.
And it's a good time because I think Kirkman knows that too, which is why he gave us a little intermission with the Adventures of Nolan and Alan.
Yeah.
So we get
my new favorite superhero team.
Right. So issues 66 and 67 are this, and it's the return of Cory Walker, the original. The original Invincible artist. And if you look again, we've got another referencing shot in which Nolan talks about the Viltrumites, and this is him, telling Alan. Now, if we look back to issues 2 and 11, where is this? Let me flip through here. So we've got issue 2, issue 11, and now issue 66 is Mark taking up the whole shot and saying, going to tell you the truth, basically. And then the next page is that shot for shot kind of,
here's my
story. Here's what it looks like. Here's the place. But this time we get a slightly different story, as we do every time. He retells it. And this one's more about the sickness, the virus that plagued the Viltrumites. So this is called the Scourge virus. It weakened them, and it's what dwindled their numbers down. And this is why they can beat them. There's fewer of them now. We get a cool shot of...
Well, we know where...
Conquest losing...
where his... Oh, yeah. His arm and where his scar came from those jumpy guys.
Yep. And so Mark and Alan are going to head back to Telescria, and they... Oh, I love the fact that the Viltrumites planet has a ring around it of bodies.
Ugh.
Yeah. So
I was kind of thinking like Serenity, like, oh, they all lay down.
Oh, hey, man, I got to see that movie again.
Yeah.
I have it. I just haven't watched it in forever.
So that's what that scene reminded me of.
So we've got Alan and his girlfriend.
I like her. She's so sassy. Where have you been? I want it, and I want it now.
And although she's like, did you say we?
Yeah. And then she realizes he's there.
So they
right.
So much nakedness.
And
Take it.
yeah. And so we've got Nolan and Alan talking to Thaddeus, the leader of the coalition, and I love how they call it the Tulak pull, where he wants him to reveal that he's actually a Viltrumite by pulling his beard down and showing that it's just a mustache.
Yeah.
I just find that really funny, just to prove to Nolan, but he believes him. And they send they send Nolan and Alan on a mission to gather all the things that can hurt Viltrumites. They're on a mission to find these things that Nolan wrote about in his books.
Right, yeah.
So they're off on an adventure. It's kind of like this team up. It's kind of great. So their first stop is on this asteroid where they're going to get a gun that can shoot through anything. And this is Space Racer's gun. And we find out that Space Racer is still alive.
Yeah, I liked that little twist, because you thought that they were actually going to get the weapon, but then it went back to its owner and he emerges out of the rubble.
Mm-hmm. And then we're on to issue 67, where we've got them convincing Space Racer to, join them, and they follow him back to Telescria. And what's that?
Oh, because I interrupted it.
love the reference to Star Trek.
Isn't that awesome? It's so funny. I love Nolan having to cover his ears with pillows every time he sleeps on their couch.
Yeah, I know. Just that grimace.
Yep. So then they try and gather the Rognars, those creatures. But the Star Trek guys mess up. They end up thawing out too quickly.
Oh, yeah, but I thought that was smart. I liked how that
played out.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So another one of my favorite parts of this issue was the shot of all of the different places they're going, to show like they've been doing this for a while. Like, this is a progression of time, and all the different places, and them trying to, they're extracting, poison from this beetle. They're talking to these Gardarians, or whatever their name is. Gardarians. And they talk about Tech Jacket, which was kind of neat. They talk to this guy about Battle Beast. So
I'm waiting for more Battle Beast.
Yeah. So this issue ends with a pretty big reveal. We've got Thaddeus in an awesome 2-page headshot spread. I love when they do this, and this one's really good. Talking about how the virus is still around, and he's improved it. And
well, didn't it come from him? Like, it was his original concept?
Yep.
Yeah, so I really like that. But...
and in that he won't hesitate to use it again.
Yes, and then the look on Nolan's face of...
yeah, like, this is him, this is his son, this is, but then again, this is a tool that can defeat...
But I was still nervous because we still don't know who the narc is. So they're trying to keep everything really secret, like all their adventures.
That's
trying
right.
to get everything.
Yep.
And Thaddeus is only trusting, like, certain people.
Yeah.
So now we know...
It seems as though that Nolan is the only one he's shown this to.
Yeah. Well, yes, the virus. But just him and Nolan and Alan's adventures. Like, it seems like it's a very small amount of people that know. So now we can kind of chop down our possibilities instead of being in that whole room of the coalition. So I want to know who this MRFer is.
Yep.
Exactly.
So back on Earth, we've got issue 68. What?
Well, no, because you turn the page and the cover is like a dinosaur. And I was like, he looks really cool. What is happening?
Right.
Let's not forget that this is a superhero universe and just random monsters are going to attack.
Yeah, I thought it was that 10-year-old again.
Oh, the giant. I love how Mark is wearing pieces of robots' armor as kind of like a brace. That's neat.
Originally I thought they replaced, like, he was part robotic. Like, I didn't know it was just going to be a brace. So I like that later. At least we found that out. Yeah.
And what do you think of what this guy is saying, this dinosaur? He's saying things like the devastation worldwide, that it was the best thing that could have happened. The lack of food and supplies, the spread of illness among the displaced city dwellers would have stemmed the impending overpopulation catastrophe. the decrease in cities would decrease the carbon emissions, leading to an end of global climate change. The public works project would have, employed millions of people to rebuild, but you guys are messing it up. Stop. And so he's like, it's like he has all these kind of good points that he's bringing up, and he's like, what? But what?
He's got to be some sort of scientist
He's
where
very political.
Yeah, it is.
where things went wrong.
And I was like, well, he's got a point,
But yeah,
you just can't do that.
mm-hmm. I liked. It was a cool fight scene, and then all of a sudden, Mark like knocks him out, and he turns into like a kid.
Yeah.
So, Mark, picks up the kid by his neck, and he's strangling him, and the Guardians show up, and
Like,
they're
dude,
like,
relax.
like, wait, what were you about to do? And then there's a scene after this with Eve and Mark sitting on their roof, and Mark's like, I was gonna kill him.
Right.
Like, he was like, I think I was gonna kill him, and I should feel wrong about this. And like Eve's kind of saying like, but could you have? And it's
still like he's not ready to be honest with himself. Like, he is being honest, like the fact that I think I was going to.
and that's what Eve says.
Yeah.
She says the fact that you are questioning it means you're a good man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with everything else that's been going on.
Mm-hmm. And then they go downstairs for dinner at Eve's house.
Oh god.
This is the part that you were talking
Yeah.
about. Like, where Mark and Eve's dad
They
go
just
off for their
make-
private conversation.
They just make Eve's dad look like a disgusting asshole.
Yeah, chomping with his mouth open. Like,
Being nasty to his wife.
Yeah, he's being super rude.
And poor Eve, she's just like, oh god, let this dinner end.
like she knows she's adopted at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The scene of, oh my gosh, Eve's dad
Mark
talking
dad.
about her virginity.
Well, and
And
just him thanking Mark for giving her a chance because
Yeah.
she's easy.
oh
Are
my
you
gosh.
freaking kidding me? Ugh.
I just love it. Cuts from that to him just staring blankly on the couch. Nothing important.
Poor
Yeah.
guy. He's got so much to deal with.
No wonder why he wants to kill some people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then when we go to the Stronghold prison, when they're like, they go to have their meeting, do you know it took me such a long time to realize that was Eve?
Oh, really? Because she's in there, like...
I don't know why, but I was like, oh, who's this character? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, Liz. What were you thinking? But oh well.
Yeah.
I got there.
And then they're flying away from there, and Mark says, like, hey, are you sure you're okay? Your powers have been acting up lately. And you sure you're flying this high? Is that all right? And he said, well, she's like, well, I'm with you, so I can fly this high. You'd catch me and all that. And then Oliver shows up. And we haven't seen Oliver since he got his jaw broken and his arm broken. And
First of all, he's like pinkish. He's getting less and less purple.
He's
Yep.
brand new.
And he's got his new costume.
I almost didn't like it because literally just an episode before he was still little and purple.
But I'm glad he doesn't have those
But he
ridiculous
looks- yeah.
shorts anymore. Let's be real.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and he
shows
says
he's
that. He's
growing
like,
up.
yes.
He
and
looks better.
You got to remember, though, Britt is...
I know.
Oh, no, I know. But
He
these were...
ages quicker.
Not just that, but these were month-to-month issues. And we haven't seen Oliver in 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
And in that time, we cut away to Nolan and Alan, who were doing all their travels. So I think some time has passed, which shows that Mark was healing. He didn't need the bracelet anymore. I think this. So you're right to be like, why is he older all of a sudden? I think time had passed. It's just harder for you guys to tell.
And
That's
he's going to need a new costume because,
his other ones.
Conquest destroyed it.
Yeah.
Flash.
And that's what he said. He went to go get a new one, and Art was like, yeah, it's time for a thing. And I love how he kind of changed his name from Kid Omni-Man to Young Omni-Man.
It made me like him now, and just his little pose of him like flexing his muscles.
Yeah.
He's just so stinking cute.
Yeah.
He looks way better.
Yeah. No, I like the progression.
And then, of course, the inevitable happened. Conquest breaks out.
Ahead. Like, at first I thought it was just a head.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
too. I was
really?
like, oh, shit.
Yeah, they said he
His
was.
whole
Yeah,
body.
Cecil said he was encased in concrete, just like
Right. But for when
it's like they poured concrete over his body.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
More
God.
nakedness. Oh, yeah.
Cecil.
Oh, fuck.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love it,
Oh,
but
so,
I love it.
so mad.
So I
That
wonder
he's still
how-
alive.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't
He
deserve
could have
it.
just left it.
I can't believe that's still coming. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm showing the page.
It's not coming anymore, though. He says it.
here.
He says now.
Sequid Invasion
Finally.
now.
Secret.
It's been so
Oh
long.
my gosh.
They were
I know,
introduced
this
in,
has
I
been-
think, hardcover volume 2.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
they're
it's
finally
us.
they're finally attacking. Mark says, like, Eve's in the bathroom, and he's like, "Hey, you
glad,
alright in
glad you're
there?"
comfortable pooping.
Yeah, I know we're at a good point in our relationship. And she's like, "Go away."
At that point when
Oh.
she said go away, I was like, yeah.
We know.
Did you know?
No.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like girls do know.
Yeah.
Like when stuff like that happens, go away. The only reason why she wants you to go away is because she's peeing on a stick. And she's pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt about that. I was just like, oh fuck.
But then,
Poor Mark.
Right.
but then I didn't know if her powers were funny because she was pregnant or because
Yes. Or because the whole, like, she died and came back.
Exactly,
Right.
and that's what you're supposed to be thinking. Like, it's supposed to be like,
or is that
oh,
how she got pregnant? You know, like
exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you thought that, because I don't think I even thought that at first. It took a little while to really come to that conclusion.
Them hormones will fuck you up.
But yeah, oh my gosh, just her devastation. Of
And I
her
can't believe it happened
crying.
so soon.
Yeah, but you have to think they.
Oh, and again, remember, time has probably passed.
Well, no, that part I know. I just figured.
Mark in the hospital.
Well, no.
Oh,
but,
there was
like,
that sex scene though.
Mm-hmm.
But-
With clothes melting, that one?
Mhm.
Yeah. But that's her powers were already wonky then. But that's what I said.
You're right.
Is that the point where she got pregnant? Because I feel like that's when it happened. But her powers were already off. So that's why I felt like something
hmm
wasn't put back together.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't 100% remember whether or not they specifically say whether her powers were wonky because of pregnancy or because of her coming back.
Right.
So I'm gonna, and I might be wrong, but we'll see as we go into the next new reader and everything if they do actually answer it. But I want to say it is because she was pregnant.
Right.
I just think that's what I accepted.
Yeah. I mean,
But I don't know.
that's what I accepted, but
But it still could mean that she was pregnant before Conquest. Oh, I don't know.
I don't think she was pregnant before Conquest. But
well, her
her powers
stomach
were
was
off.
Pretty.
Maybe it was when she fixed herself. Interesting. We're gonna have to come back to that when we
Yeah,
find out more.
sometimes.
Regardless, I felt really bad for Mark at that point.
Just because it's just another.
Just another.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mark gets a lot on him at once. So, all right. 3 more. Issue 69. We've got the introduction of Universa. And I love the way this starts off. It's very old school Marvel comic. It's like, she is Universa, a warrior queen to a far off world. She has traveled, blah, blah. It's not far, da, 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 da. And it's just like, because the people of Earth have more pressing things at the moment.
yeah. No, I like you say, I liked her. She was classic.
Yeah,
It was
she
kind of.
she shows up during the Sequid Invasion. It's like the worst time for this to be going on. So we're cutting back and forth between the Sequid Invasion and Universa showing up. So the Mark's phone rings. And I love how Eve answers Invincible Incorporated, like that's their company name, and there's an attack on the power plant, and so Mark gets sent to the power plant
Well,
to deal with Universa.
yeah, and I don't know if you caught too in the one picture. Like I've never seen her really put her arm over her stomach, but he asks, can you hang back a little
Oh, you're
if
right.
you're worried?
Because she says, "Are you sure I should go? My powers," and she's touching her stomach when she says
she
that.
has her hand over her stomach. So it's like,
So maybe it's not so much that, and that might have nothing to do with how she became pregnant, but that's her being worried
yeah.
and
It's-
like, I don't want my powers to mess up and to me to get hurt because I
Yeah.
can't right
So
now.
I liked that because I don't know if it was intentional or
No,
not, but it was
you
there,
got something I've
know?
never caught before. That's awesome. Wow. So we've got the fight with Universa. She kind of messes Mark up a little bit. She doesn't really hurt him, but he's having a hard time fighting her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because she's harnessing power, and that staff is, holds it all. So he just needs to get the staff,
Mm-hmm.
and then in bits, then there comes the sea squid
Yep. So we've got the Guardians who decided to they've got this device and they formulate this plan. It's a cool plan. They have this dome that's going up over the
I thought that was cool.
over the the epicenter of the invasion, and they have the devices that will repel the Sequids like
So they
they
can't
had
get
the
their
last time they
bodies.
fought them.
Yep.
And all the people going in there have impenetrable skin. So
Great
they've
plan.
got that.
They're
They're
prepared.
gonna zap away disrupt away the Sequids and shoot
they can
people with
save
darts
people.
that will
Yes.
teleport them. So it's
I
a cool
loved it.
cool
Yes.
plan,
Very technical and involved.
right?
But it seems like it'd be so easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But it never is.
Like, we can just do that, and we'll be done.
Yeah. So it shows the Guardians showing up, and they're starting to do just that. Meanwhile, Mark's still fighting with Universa. And I love his banter with her. He's kind of talking about, like, I never really got a chance to talk to my dad, but he had to have fought females in his days, but I've never felt comfortable punching a woman. I thought that was a neat little banter while they're fighting, and she's just zapping Mark and really putting up a fight. And then Eve shows up and slams into her. And she's back off, lady. I'm kind of in love with him.
They're so cute.
And then she shoots out flowers.
Well, her force field. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Her force field gets smashed and she shoots out flowers. So,
thing.
yeah, things are obviously not working well with her. Mark snaps out of it and comes to her rescue.
Yeah, I know. I love everything about them right now. But then, and I really like the scene where he grabs her staff and it really zaps him.
And it was interesting. She said this, and this isn't something that's brought up ever again in the series, so it's not a big deal, though. I just found it interesting when reading this. She says, "You fool, only those chosen by the world god can wield the staff of leadership." I want to know who this world god is.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Another universe. Gotta be.
So Eve knocks her out with just a good old-fashioned punch because all the power was in her staff. And Cecil shows up to clean up the mess and say, "Hey,
You're needed
you're
elsewhere."
needed. The Sequids are attacked." And we get a shot of all the Guardians being basically out of
Taken
commission.
over.
Yep.
I know, after I saw that shot, I was like, how can they get Robot when he's a robot?
But right away, issue 70, we find out right away that he's
Not
so
there.
smart. He actually managed to move his suit around a sewer to be able to climb out, and they think that he's still in the suit.
Yeah.
So he's not even in it. And then he seals it back up. Very cool.
Why we love him.
So Mark's on scene. He gets teleported into the fight, and he just
goes to town. He
Yep.
starts destroying them and trying to get the main. Yeah, he tries
to stop Russ. And meanwhile,
Livingston. Yeah.
Rex, and I'm going to keep calling him Rex now because for the last months, episodes I've been doing with you guys, I had to keep myself from calling Robot Rex.
Well,
So
and the funny thing is even I wanted to say Rex. I was like, can I say that? It still feels weird
It
for me.
does it? That's cool.
So it's the opposite.
And so Rex is in the sewers trying to find a way. He has a plan of his own. And Mark is just going to town on Russ, and he does something interesting, and he kind of stops himself. He says, "My planet." He says, "You will not enslave this planet. My planet."
I did not like that.
Right?
Yeah, it was a flash of scary. I mean, it's in red writing too, so it really stands out.
And even Mark, like right away, is like,
Did I just say that?
yeah.
And then it distracts him long enough for a wall of
Sequence.
sequence to get him.
And then, Rex being as smart as he is, or Robot, sorry, or whatever.
Too soon.
Robot Rex, sorry. Robot.
Robot Rex.
Yep, Robo Rex. Down in the sewers, he's like, "I knew it. You have he stores away another human that's infected down here so that even if Russ dies up there, there'll still be someone."
Right.
And that was very smart because it's kind of like telling the reader, "Hey, like, we thought of this." Like,
Because everyone else is thinking in their head,
there's got to be
someone.
another person,
Exactly.
So even though, there still could be somewhere else, this is kind of like solidifying the fact that, we're taking care of everyone.
Yeah, but in that scene, too, it shows a whole bunch of sea squid, attacking Rex. Mm-hmm. And his
crawling
mouth was
into his mouth.
wide open.
Yep.
And I remember, they...
Happened before.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So instantly I was like, Oh,
boy.
that's it.
Yep, it's just gonna keep coming.
And then the Guardians start making a comeback. They're,
Getting people out.
Yep, teleporting people out. But...
And then I see Rex is okay, so I'm like, oh, okay, we're good.
Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, they get out a lot of people until there's only Rex left, right? He's the last person.
Yeah, but then the Sequids start breaking all their disruptor devices on their wrists.
Yep.
So the Sequids are able to stop them. Monster Girl reverts back into her form, so Robot teleports her out of there. And then since they're all being overrun because they don't have the devices on them, Mark tells Russ, he says, I've been holding back, waiting for them to get into position to use their disruptor things you've left me with no choice. And he does it. He finally does it. He
kills him.
He kills someone.
He punches his head off. He just doesn't kill him. He decapitates him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't blame them at this point. They've dealt with this problem numerous amounts of times.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get rid of the problem.
And
there's been such a struggle between if killing is okay or if it's not.
Right.
And will it change him?
They were encased. Like they were in.
Yeah. And Robot says he was the host. He was innocent.
Right. Like at this point, so get the rest of the guys out. And go back in when you have another device or something. Like, it didn't need
But this is the line and think of everything that's been weighing on Mark lately. There's somebody threatening him. There's a villain. There's a problem that needs to be stopped.
He said, I won't hesitate, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cecil sees this and is like, I can believe it. He's been through a lot recently, and this is definitely a major concern. So, yep.
And then we have, I like the scene with Oliver talking to his tutor.
Yeah, it totally shows his age. Like he's growing up quick.
Isn't it terrible that I always think about them eventually being together? Is it really bad?
No, and that's funny. I like that because he's aging. He's gonna age up to his tutor's age.
I don't know. I always feel like
that's too creepy.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like she's
they don't show anyone him talking to anyone else except her
yeah, I guess,
and Mark. So I can see that. But.
I like how he's like, who knows what's going on with Mark? Drama.
Yeah, drama. Teenager.
Yep. And then one of the best scenes here, we've got Robot, trying to make a move on Monster Girl, and she's like, no, go shower first. And then, like you said, he coughs up another one just like Russ Livingston did, but Kirkman knows what everybody's thinking, and he's like, no. He makes Robot say it out loud. Okay, it is at long last over. This is it. This is the end of the sequence.
It better be.
It's not. It's nobody else. This is it.
Good.
It was years. Think about in one issue a month. Years of them teasing this attack, everything.
Yeah.
That was a good way to end it.
Yeah, right? A nice little, it's very, horror movie kind of trope-ish, kind of being like, oh, it's still there. And it's like, no, got him.
Yeah. I like his little smile sitting there in the shower.
Yeah.
I did good.
Yeah. So Cecil shows up, and, while Mark and Eve are talking about how he killed him, and Eve's just telling him it's going to be all right, and Mark's like, I don't think it is. Cecil shows up, and he's like, we need to have a talk.
Yeah.
So that was issue 70. We're going to talk a little bit about Invincible Returns. This was meant to be an issue for people to jump into the series. They've done this before. Remember the one with Mark talking to Amber on the bed, and he kind of talks about everything that's happened to him lately. And this is another one of those issues. There's, new stuff happens in it, though, but we'll go through it. Some of the key points that happen in this, though, is, Cecil talks to him, and Cecil shows him D.A. Sinclair and how he's reformed and how he's only working on cadavers now, and he's engaged, and they're expecting their first child, and hey, he's helping out. He's making a difference by replacing soldiers in the field, but not before. Let's just
hide all,
he said
hide all the Invincibles.
He's covering up the Invincible Reaniman. He said he's not ready to show Mark that yet. So there's still that.
But I like that D.A. Sinclair actually did show a flicker of why do we have to hide this?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of not that I ever thought he was totally evil.
Mm-hmm.
A little sinister, yes.
Yeah.
But he still is
it makes you
It was
kind
just
of
his science.
yeah, exactly, and that's what he says. He's like, I needed to do this, and nobody would help, and so I had to resort to evil things. And he says that he regrets it, and he's sorry for that.
Yeah.
So then we get a shot of some Vultramites, a Vultramite ship, and Conquest showing up. And General Craig here, he was there when Nolan was taken. Yep. Yeah. And we've got Conquest kneeling down to somebody.
I have failed you, my liege, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's when we see.
Yep. So this is Grand Regent Thrag.
Okay.
So we've got a Vultramite leader. Don't know too much about him yet, but he's going to play a game, and he says that you will not fail me again. We've learned that the team sent to Earth to retrieve Nolan's son and bring him into direct conflict with us. So I doubt you have time to prevent this, but go catch them on their trip. So there's that mole that informed them that they're building a team to attack, and they're going to send Conquest to stop them.
Wow. That's all right. I'm a little frustrated at this point because I've now just connected the dots to a spoiler that I saw.
Oh. So moving on. It's all right.
Now I'm really mad. I'm really mad.
It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's about the journey, Liz. It's okay. It's going to be fine. Don't think about it, Britt. It's okay.
I'm not trying to.
You don't want spoilers. So...
It's going to be epic, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Does the spoiler have a name?
Yeah, no, we're not.
2 names.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it.
Was Bill
the closer...
No, actually, he tried to save me from it.
Yeah.
But it still ended up happening.
I know.
Oh.
So put it on the page and popped up.
Yeah, you got to be careful with...
I was just scrolling
Facebook
through
and...
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad I haven't been on Facebook in
I was just scrolling through and there it was. And I was like,
Yeah.
But I didn't know it, and then until you said the name.
It's all right. It's all right. The closer you guys get to being caught up, the easier it's going to be to spoil things. But it's okay.
Okay, but it's cool.
All right, so quickly here, this is going to be a long episode.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
He tells him, go, don't leave anybody alive, go catch them.
Yep, and so we've got a scene of Eve talking to William, and she confides in him. And what?
I was so frustrated.
That came out of nowhere.
Right? I know. So that's why I said...
We haven't seen William in a while. I kind of liked it.
Well, yeah, I like that we got to see William, but why William?
Well, she's like, I have no one else.
That's very true.
I know, but we don't even see Mark hanging out with William. It's like, we know time has passed, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just like, have they been hanging out? Where did this come from?
Where did it come from? Mark in his shithole, wherever he lives.
Yeah, William in his shithole.
I guess, though, but I would tell strangers I was pregnant. Like, why would I tell them that? Like, when I found out that I was pregnant with my son. Like, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
There's a scene coming up with Titan and his whole, mob war going on with
that cool Astro Dragon old guy.
Yeah, with the Order. Yeah, that Astro.
The Astro. Forgot about all that.
So it's just kind of like this, it's just a mob war essentially that's going on between them, and we get to see some of the villains that we've seen, kind of those gangster villains. Very cool. I like that. And then Mark almost killing Titan again. Whoops.
I got so excited about it.
Yeah, Mark almost killing Titan, and the Guardians showing up and being like, hey, we've got it from here. Or Cecil shows up and says, stop, we'll take it from here.
So Cecil's actually trying to, I feel like, help Mark a little bit at this point, and he wants to keep Mark on his good side.
Yeah, he's seen what Mark can do.
And then Mark goes to see Art. Little man chitty chat.
Yeah, and he talks about how how guilty he's felt, and how he feels like he's the one to blame, and he's killed someone, and he almost did it again, and this is also, like Art says to him, like Eve said, like the fact that you're sitting here, that you're questioning it, proves that you're a good man, and you're handling it better than most, and I've seen the worst that this job has to offer. And Mark says, I feel like it's this costume. I can't wear it anymore. I don't, I can't undo, everything I've done. And Art comes up with an idea, and he's like, well, you know what? how about a change of costume, essentially?
I love art.
I love that he went back to.
I know this page. I was just like, it felt so good. It felt like
Right.
home again.
Right.
I was just like, all right, we're back. But at that point too, after Cecil like came in to stop him from killing him, I just like put the pieces together. He first of all thinks he killed Conquest,
Yep.
the first person that he really feels like he murdered. What initiated these feelings to have no mercy and kill other people. But guess what? He didn't fucking die.
Yeah, he didn't even kill Conquest.
So imagine how he's going to feel when he finds out. Exactly.
Yep.
Like,
Cecil's
damn you,
gonna
Cecil.
get it.
Ruiner.
And he meets up with Eve. They talk about the costume changes and how it feels better, and
He's smiling.
things are starting to feel a little bit better. And somebody shows up.
Oh, Daddy.
Nolan and Alan are
Yes.
right there. They show up to Mark and Eve, and Nolan says, "The time for war is upon us."
So something happened in the meantime, right?
So, well, no, this is Mark and Nolan, or
they're
Nolan
going
and
to
Alan,
warn him.
going to get all the different people to help that fight. And this is the fight that remember somebody told Thrag that they're coming to attack us. Well, they're getting Mark to attack, and not only that, but that's Nolan on Earth. Nolan hasn't been back to Earth since he left.
I know.
So, And then the backup on this issue was a great discussion and a great look back on, certain events in the series. It's Mark and Eve on a date, like pretty much the night before he has to leave, and he wouldn't rather spend it with anybody else. And
Brittany,
this is
I noticed her earrings, just so you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah, this is Corey Walker too.
Yes,
it was kind of cool
yeah,
getting
I
to
could
see
tell.
him draw other scenes that Ryan Ottley had drawn leading up to it, and kind of like his interpretation of the events that happened leading up to this. And it was a cool recap of everything that's been going on, which is perfect considering that you guys are at your halfway point of the series. So we've got Mark and Eve talking and just like going over what's going to happen in the war, and are you scared, and Mark's scared, and Mark's also scared of the man he could become, and that's how that kind of ends with but it's great. It's the lead up to another event. We've got big things coming with this Voltramite war. So,
I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. That does it for hardcover volume 6, though. That was a long one.
Yeah, but I can't really.
There was so much that happened though.
Yeah, I just can't imagine it getting more like crazy than this. But I know everyone you say it keeps building.
Oh yeah, I mean that is
I'm sure this is like
that's a huge
quintessential,
that is a huge moment
right
in the series. But oh yeah, I mean Invincible does keep building and things keep changing, and
I feel like that's why people honestly say they prefer it to Walking Dead.
Well, like I said earlier, this was almost like the prison.
Yeah.
This was at that point in the series in which it's like, oh, this is Invincible. And I don't say I told you guys oh, read through volume 1. That's like kind of introducing you to what this thing is. But then volume 2 is like, here's all these characters, and then volume 3 was like the fight with Angstrom. It's like, this is what Invincible is. And it was, but like this is the meat. This is where you get into it, and this is like, yeah, no going back. Good stuff. And before we go, do you have any predictions? Anything like coming up that you're looking forward to?
Just that, hopefully, because Mark has gone through a lot. If he were to ever have a breakdown moment, it would be on Cecil.
Yeah.
I would really like to see Mark go crazy.
Like, just fuck him up.
Yeah. And then I was thinking too, I wonder if Eve is actually going to have the baby. Because her powers are off, so I don't know if it's going to be okay. She obviously doesn't want a kid.
And she's genetically modified, so what does that mean?
It's going to be a superhero baby. Like, there's all these...
Yeah, but Mark is half and half.
I know. So I'm just...
Ooh, that baby would be...
I know. But I'm feeling like she's not gonna have the baby. Like, that's
Interesting.
That's what I mean. Like, even, I know you had said that, you know, it's been months since these issues come out, but, like, I still feel like it's a fresh relationship, that it would be too soon. Like, I still see them as being so young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So that's
Interesting.
I don't feel like they're ready. Obviously, their lives are too crazy.
One thing I got to ask, do you have a prediction for... You've talked about this since the end of Volume 1. Nolan speaking with Debbie.
Oh.
Did you even think about that?
I'm still mad. Because it's human, like, error. It's in our DNA to, like, forgive someone that you love.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, now that I feel like, especially now that she has this relationship with Oliver, that it's going to...
She has more of a relationship with Oliver than Nolan ever did.
Right.
Nolan's never really met Oliver.
I think about that, right? I know. So that's why I think it's going to be easier for Debbie to let him kind of, like, come back into her life.
I think he'll be back.
Oh, yeah. Like, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, which even still, like...
Sorry, I'm just mad about it.
Oliver was asking Debbie, like, how serious was it? And she even said, it's not really that serious. He'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
Oh, and I want to tell you, too, I think my favorite page...
Oh, did you have a favorite page from this volume?
I did have a favorite page.
What was it?
I went back and forth between, like, a bloody gore scene and just, like, a really epic shot. But I think my favorite one is the 2-page panel of all the different Invincibles over...
The monuments.
Yeah.
Like those, yep.
I think that was one of my favorites.
I think it's too hard to decide.
This one had so many
There
moments.
was so much awesome art.
Oh, I like that. Oh, this is really awesome.
Right,
I know.
yeah.
I felt the same way, too.
Awesome. So, remember, you guys can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter and Facebook. That does it for this episode, though. We'll be back next episode with a new issue discussion. We're going to be talking about issue 131, and that's going to be really exciting. We haven't had a new issue in a while, and we're excited to discuss that one. So, thank you, Liz.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Of course.
And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Do it again.